Good evening and welcome to the Wakefield School Committee meeting of Wednesday, February 5th, 2020. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The vision of the Wakefield Public Schools is to graduate students who are confident, lifelong learners who are respectful and caring members of their community. Our mission is to prepare students for college, career, and community by providing rich and challenging curriculum, high-quality instruction, and educational experiences that meet their individual needs and interests. At this point in time, I'll open the floor for public comment. Anybody that wishes to speak, I'd like you to remember state your name, and remember that this is not an interactive thing. You can speak for up to 3 minutes.
Good evening, thank you. My name is Florence Martin, and I live on 58 Leonard Avenue in Melrose, Massachusetts.
And my name is Will Carvinaris, and I am the president of the Wakefield Education Association.
Thanks. Comments have been made on social media at these meetings and in the newspaper that I would like to address. One comment we read that was there were two sides to every story, a statement I also believe. Here are some important facts from our side that I feel the citizens of Wakefield deserve to know. I would, however, first like to state that I am not here to defend my colleagues or myself. We don't need defending. My first point is that we have honestly tried to live within the guidelines of the ground rules that we signed last January. There have been no public statements or posts on social media by us until last week. We have been working 99 days without a contract, under an expired contract. During that time, Wakefield educators have continued to go above and beyond for our incredible students and families, as we always do. We come early, stay late, we serve on district committees, and we stay involved in the community in many ways. The teachers also continue to spend their own money for things the school system doesn't provide. Another statement was made at this meeting that all teachers received a raise this year. And while it is true that some teachers received their contractual step and column raises, over 60% received no increase. And many are receiving less in their paychecks because of insurance increases. Another reference was made that other contracts were settled easily. Was this to insinuate that we are being difficult? If you look at the handout, you will see we are not only looking for a fair raise, but also looking to improve student services to the children that have been entrusted to our care. We know that our working conditions are student learning conditions. We have been negotiating in good faith, and we have come prepared to every session. Until December 13th, most people in this community did not know that our contract had expired. That's when one of our brave members took it upon himself to buy poster board and stand out in the cold. He was joined by his colleagues and students at the high school. It was then, as a union, we decided that we had to take additional actions. Sorry. Our negotiating team met for a full day on December 29th to be prepared for a full day of bargaining that was scheduled for the following Saturday. And I tell you, we were really excited to get things done. That meeting never happened. Our union will continue to take advantage of our civil and labor rights, using whatever avenues we see fit to educate the public and put pressure on you to settle this contract. Having served on at least 6 bargaining teams, I'm confident that we can move on from here. We can, because we must get this done. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public that wishes to speak?
Hi, my name is Katie Pritchard. I live at 534 Lowell Street. and I am a parent of 3 Wakefield Public school students, and I'm just here as a parent to lend my support to the teachers, and I am incredibly appreciative, in all honesty, of all of your volunteer efforts and your time. I know how much you give to your community, and I really do value that. I just want to offer my perspective that I am frustrated that our teachers still don't have a contract, that it disappoints me to bring my children to school and my kids know their teachers don't have a contract. And these are the people who I'm giving my children to for the most part of their day beyond my influence. And I trust them, and I am so grateful for what they have given my families. And I feel like our town is being very disrespectful to not step up and do the right thing here. And we are damaging our reputation as a town, because now this is like, it's open to the public. Everybody knows that we aren't making a contract with our teachers, that they're coming every day and teaching our kids. And where it's so disrespectful in my mind. These people are educated professionals. They are experienced, they are talented, they are devoted, and they deserve a contract. And the other thing is that now it is poisoning our community. Like, we're creating this attitude within our town, creating a this and them, and that is not how it should be. It should be our top priority to educate our students. Like, we opened this meeting with the mission statement of the Wakefield Public Schools, and like, you want to create a love of learning, then support the people who are creating that atmosphere in our schools. They're doing that every day. And I know everything is closed. We can't discuss any of the confidentiality, and I respect that, but like, I want the people who are teaching my children to have a contract, and I want it to happen quickly. So I just wanted to share that, and
Thank you.
hope that that's here. Thank you.
Was there anybody else?
Hello, my name is Stephen Ingalls. I'm 40 Richardson. I also have 2 students in the Wakefield school system. So also to sort of echo what, I'm sorry, Katie said, is that as a member of the community, I'm worried about not necessarily maybe the reputation that we put in other towns, but I'm worried about what the teachers are starting to think of us as a body. And I know that I was at the State of the School meeting, and one thing that that you touched on, Doug, was that we have a lot of teachers that have taught in this town for decades, just years. And so Miss Martin, who taught my son, one of those teachers. So I'm just worried about people that have taught here for a tremendous amount of time, feeling like they're better served looking somewhere else. And what do we lose? Like, as a town, that resource, those people that know our kids, know the system, know the way we want to teach our kids, know the values that we hold. I don't think that's something that's easy to put on paper and easy to put a number on. I think it's priceless. So the longer this drags out, that's just what I'm worried about, is their perception. And I know that I believe, honestly, that you're bargaining in good faith. Just I don't know where that impasse is, but I also would urge that we get this done sooner rather than later, because it's bad blood. So if we get that behind us, it'd be great. Thanks.
Thank you. Was that the last person, or was anybody else? Okay, well, thank you. Okay, move on to our consent agenda, please.
Move that the school committee approve the minutes of the January 14th, 2020 school committee meeting and accept the minutes of the January 14th and January 28th, 2020 school committee policy and communications subcommittee meeting as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, great. Comments and updates. There's not a whole lot that, to update you on right at the moment. As you're all well aware, we have a couple of construction projects starting. The Greenwood is progressing. We'll have more information after a meeting with the Permanent Building Committee tomorrow night. We've got some final numbers back and approvals and trying to get dates of construction all ironed out for the Greenwood roof. And in a few weeks, our eligibility period will open up with the high school project. So we're all moving along with that. Remember that we're a little off cycle here, so we have a meeting just next Tuesday, so less than a week away, will be our meeting with the Metco families in Boston. And just moving after that, we'll just have our first budget proposal will come at our next meeting as well. Not our next meeting, following meeting, the 25th. Also, I'd like to point out that we have an appointment to the Human Rights Commission. We will have an appointment available to us to make in March. It's end of March, April. So we would like to open up the application process for people to apply to be our representative to the Human Rights Commission. So we will send something out to invite people to apply, and we'll look for it to see what comes back. But just wanted to let you guys know that that was on the horizon here.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Is it one appointment or two?
One seat's opening
seat,
at this time.
okay.
Right.
Thank you.
That's what I'm told anyway. Okay. And moving on from that, I'll turn it on to Mr. Lyons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. Just some comments and updates. First, our student ambassadors from the high school couldn't be here this evening. We missed them. I think the change in the calendar, I think, has thrown them all off. They're pretty scheduled kids, and we missed them here this evening, but I'll do my best to cover their remarks, right? And so first, it's National Guidance Counselors Week, which is great. So Anne, I hope you had a good week. I think, but thank you very much, and I'd like to recognize all of our guidance counselors and our counselors in the district that are working really hard. I also wanted to follow up. Logan made some points in our last meeting, and I think one of the things that he was able to do was he was able to talk with Principal McLeod, and I was also able to have a conversation with David Robinson, our new guidance director. And so since that time, guidance counselors they've gotten around to classes to really support students with the selection of classes, right? And I think that has helped things go more smoothly. And I appreciate Logan's words, and I think that was a nice prompt. I do think David Robinson had a number of things scheduled, but I think Logan might have been unaware of that. But it was also a nice way for them to touch base and for guidance counselors to also get out and support that work. Busy time of year for athletics. I know the girls dropped a tough game last night in hockey to Watertown. I think the boys boys hockey's doing well. Tonight we have wrestling in Melrose, and I believe on Monday, I could be off with this, but on Monday, our indoor track team came in second in the Middlesex League meet, which is tremendously positive as well. And so that's just some quick comments and updates. We also have some MCAS testing happening at the high school for students that need to make up MCAS. And so that's a positive thing. I also wanted to, I spoke with some of our committee members earlier tonight. We were talking about their children attend the high school, and we were talking about the interruptions in internet access and wireless access. And, for those that don't know, my office is connected to the high school. So when students don't have access, we in central office also do not have access. So we are keenly aware when it's out. We like when students know the same. But Principal McLeod and our Director of Technology, Jeff Weiner, have been working together. And what they did over the last kind of week or so is we have issues with the number of devices that our students have. And we also have issues at different times of the day when the demands for bandwidth are just really through the roof. And so it presents an issue and maxes our system currently. We do have a proposal in our capital we're proposing to replace the wireless devices in the high school, which will increase capacity. And it will also increase our ability to monitor what devices are getting on and what devices are not getting on. But over the last week or so, Amy and Jeff have worked together to really drill down on what times of the day is bandwidth up. And they've also worked together to try to prioritize what really needs, what students and teachers really need access to. And I think Amy's also been working with Will Cavaneris. I know they met to talk about this. Is that you guys met last week, Will?
Yes.
Okay. So I think, we're hearing it loud and clear, and I think we're working on some remedies that are still kind of a work in progress, but I can share more on our next meeting as an update there. So if anyone has any feedback for me, I'd be happy to accept that
Can I just ask
and have a discussion about what we're doing, of course.
So I'm definitely the most technically challenged person you'll ever want to meet, but I'm just. No, I mean, you're not. Well, he doesn't even have a computer, so I win. I'm just wondering why this is it old? I mean, obviously, I know you said it's in the budget for us to either replace or update, or, I mean, is this something that, like, just, you get to the capacity and nobody realizes you were gonna get to that point and then it happens, or has this been a gradual thing, or?
So yes to all of the above.
Okay.
So the equipment's old. It has been a gradual increase. We've increased capacity for bandwidth twice. But as we've increased, student access to wireless has outstripped our capacity. It's outpaced it, right? And so when we have students in ASC streaming on their devices, that really commands a lot of bandwidth. When students have wireless headphones, that takes bandwidth. I know that sounds like a small thing, but when you have 200 students out of 1,000 that have this, right? When students all try to get on at once and it doesn't work, and they all push refresh, that kind of maxes the bandwidth. And so the short answer to your question is yes to all of the above. Our wireless access points are old. We've increased, to try to keep pace with, but our student access and what they're using is just increasing at a rate that has maxed our system. And so, we're trying to remedy that, right? With the first priority obviously being teaching and learning.
Yeah,
Right?
right, exactly.
So,
I think we've also, societies have evolved to it's the point where it used to be that not everybody had a phone even. And now it's not uncommon for someone to have 2 or 3 different devices all on there at once.
Right.
I mean, I'm sitting here with 2.
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No, certainly. And if anyone has any other questions, audience as well, please, you can shoot me a note and let me know. So moving along on my list of topics, so just a very quick budget update. So we've completed the State of the Schools address. We've had meetings with teachers, the administrators, principals, and directors have all presented what we call their proposed budgets. We've compiled all of that information, and now what we're doing is really trying to drill down and prioritize based on the budget that was created in FY20, and also really thinking about what we can prioritize to get in FY21 and also FY22. A big part of this is settling the contract, which we are very eager to do as well. And so there'll be more information to follow on that. I think Saturday is going to be a great day for us and for everyone involved to really get some work done toward settling the contract. So that's what I have right now in regard to budget updates. We have sent out a survey to teachers and parents. We've gotten survey data back from the Student Services Subcommittee from teachers in grades 5 and 9. We're looking at transition years. So we're looking at grade 5 teachers, parents, and students, grade 9 teachers, parents, and students. And so our feedback on those surveys has been pretty good. And interestingly, there's been a correlation between what parents believe is a priority, what teachers believe is a priority, and what students also believe is a priority. And there's a correlation, and we've shared that information with teachers in our emerging needs, on our emerging needs list, which is also represented on the surveys, the latest surveys that we just sent out to parents and teachers. And currently, we're going to keep the survey open until next week, but I checked before our meeting tonight, and we have 490 respondents, 490, 491. Last year, I thought we had the most ever, which was about 288. So this year, I'm assuming we're going to double or triple that, which is great. We appreciate the feedback, and it gives us a perspective. One of the things that's important to know is the surveys that we are providing to the community are really prompts, right? They're not science. It's not quantitative, statistically reliable data in regard to, stats. It's not. But what it does is it's qualitative data that really creates a prompt for us to hear different perspectives and also to check our thinking and how we're prioritizing and creating the budgets, right? And so we appreciate all members of the community that have participated so far in those surveys. So thank you. So the draft 2020-2021 school calendar was in the packet.
Doug, before you go on to that,
Sure.
can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah.
The budget meeting, Chris, that you mentioned on the 25th, is
Yeah.
that a,
It's not the hearing.
it's not the hearing? So what,
That is-
It's the superintendent's presentation of his proposed budget to the committee. It's the first outing of the budget.
got it. Okay, and then there will be a
Public
hearing,
hearing has, legal has to come after that.
and then
and
we
then
vote on it?
vote.
Okay,
It'll
thank
be
you.
like a 4-week process.
Yep, thank you.
And in between,
Town
we'll
council
also
and
have the
FinCom.
meeting with, right,
I think the public hearing would be March 10th. It's in my calendar,
okay.
so maybe it'll change.
Sounds
You can
about
put it
right.
down, just in
Sounds
case.
about right.
Okay.
If we present on the 25th, then the 10th is where it would fall.
Okay.
That's great. So the draft calendar is in the packet. We will we'll share this week. We'll get some feedback. One of the burning questions that we have gotten is when is the first day of school for teachers and when is the first day of school for students on the proposed calendar, on the draft. And so the first day for teachers, so Labor Day falls this year on Monday the 7th, right? And for the next 3 years, it will fall this coming September on the 7th, the following year on the 6th, and the year after that on the 5th. So it will be late for 3 years. And so I make note of that because per the contract, it states that we won't start when it's late like that. We can start the week before. When we tried to finagle those dates this year. We've gotten a little feedback. So what we have proposed this year is 2 professional days, one on Wednesday, one on Thursday, on the 2nd and on the 3rd for teachers. That is, the teachers would return on September 2nd and September 3rd, have off Friday, and Monday is the holiday, and students would return to school on the 8th, right? And so there's also a little kind of ripple through the calendar this year in that we have to schedule 185 days per the state requirements for snow days, different than the last 3 years where we've participated in Learn Anywhere, where we were doing 180 days. We knew the first day, we knew the last day. This is a change. The Commissioner of Education, Jeff Riley, has said that no districts will be allowed to continue with their Learn Anywhere or Blizzard Bag concepts. So all districts are going back to the traditional calendars. So we haven't given up on that, and we'll still continue to petition Commissioner Riley and his office to try to be open to that concept. But for next year, this is just a draft calendar, and we'll share it this week with faculty and staff to get feedback. And then on the 25th, that's the meeting after next, because our next meeting on the 11th will be in Boston. On the 25th, we will seek to finalize the calendar. So that's just some feedback as well. And so just one more remark. Our February 11th faculty meeting will be held in Boston. Excuse me?
Faculty, school committee.
I'm sorry, not faculty, my goodness. Talk about opening a can of worms. So our next school committee meeting will be February 11th in Boston at the Wesley Methodist Church on 1076 Washington Street in Dorchester. We, for the last number of years, have had one of our school committee meetings annually in Boston for our Boston students and their families. It gives us an opportunity to to get out and meet all of the parents of our students. And so we're looking forward to that. So that's it for my remarks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So just, bear in mind that that this calendar is still in draft form. It is not written in stone. There's still input going to happen. Budget items.
So tonight we have one gift that's up for your acceptance with gratitude from the Wakefield Cooperative Bank for the Parent University Program.
Move that the school committee accept with gratitude the donation of $2,000 from the Wakefield Cooperative Bank for the Parent University Program.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. The Co-op Bank has been a very generous sponsor for the past 4 or 5 years on this day that I think is very well attended and very much appreciated. Okay, so all those in favor? It's unanimous. Okay. Subcommittee reports. Finance facilities, we are meeting Friday morning in the superintendent's office at 7:30. So we'll be looking at some of the refreshed numbers and kind of get a feel for what's going to come forth on the 25th. And then next week as well, Doug is giving an initial meeting with the FinCom, just to give them a feel for what direction we're taking and what we feel are going to be the obstacles that we need to, challenges that we have going forward for next year. Labor and personnel, Mr. Markham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The labor and personnel will be meeting with Unit A on an all-day Saturday session this coming Saturday. And we have one more session scheduled after that. We're hopeful to be able to wrap up in soon order. We are prepared for those conversations and look forward to a positive outcome.
Thank you. Student services?
Like Doug had said, we met back on Tuesday, January 21st, and the purpose of the meeting was to go over the surveys and the results. And we really did get some pretty good informative information from students, parents, and teachers, and we kind of dissected the information, and 57 5th and 9th grade students responded, 79 parents responded, 5th and 9th grade parents, and 37 5th and 9th grade teachers. So they also included additional comments as well, which were very helpful for us to kind of get a nice snapshot as to like what they're looking for, what their concerns are. And what we intend to do with that information is to summarize that information now into the specific groups and determine how we can take those results and fit them into the emerging needs as Doug's presented with the state of schools. So we don't have a new date to meet, but I'll keep you posted.
Thank you. And policy and communications.
So we have not met since our last meeting. We have a meeting scheduled for the 25th of February to meet again.
Excellent.
Did we
That's
meet
gonna-
last week?
We met 2 weeks ago, and I gave an update. It was before this meeting 2 weeks ago.
Got it.
Or 3.
Okay.
It was right before the last meeting.
Last week, before the meeting that was
Oh, man,
canceled.
so I do have an update. So we did meet. Hold on a minute.
Do you need a minute to regroup?
No. We did meet, and we spent most of our time talking about communication. So we've been very focused on policy as part of our charter, and we spent some time talking about communication and kind of what that might look like, and what vehicles we might use, and just kind of started that conversation. We also talked about some policy changes that are coming down from the state that we need to look into, Chris, that you had sent my way. And so we've got that kind of on the docket to spend some more time talking about at the meeting that's going to happen on the 25th. And we did, so the acceptable use policy work that we had started is still with legal.
Correct.
And so we're hoping that will kind of, that's our next kind of big policy that we're focused on. So yes, that's what happened last week.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
And as we've mentioned, future dates is next week is in Boston, and then the 25th we'll be back here. So we'll have next week's agenda out. Doug and I just kind of finished it off at 7 o'clock tonight, so that'll be should be posted tomorrow. School committee comments. Start with Mr. Flynn.
Nothing right now.
Okay. Squida?
No comment.
Okay. Mr. Markham.
Well said, thank you. No comment.
I just have one thing, and I just wanted to mention to folks that it's not really in the purview of my role as school committee, but I've been working with a group of really terrific people on putting together a proposal for a youth commission here in town. And there's a bunch of different visions that we're kind of working through, and we do have a student, Eric Keefe, who's part of the group. He's wonderful, and we're looking to put together a youth commission or proposal for a youth commission that would provide the young people in our community kind of firsthand knowledge of how our government works, but through kind of as an advocate, so being the voice of youth. They have a lot of opportunity for that sort of thing in school, but when it comes to town issues and decisions around even Envision Wakefield, or what to make use of, how to make use of the deteriorating tennis courts in Moulton, that sort of thing. We want the kids in our community to have a voice. So it's really kind of exciting, because there's not a lot of communities that have a youth commission. And in any event, we've been working hard with Chairman Dombrowski, with Town Council, and Mr. Steve Mayo, the town administrator, to sort of hash out some of the details. And the group will be proposing that to Town Council. I'm not sure. It's not their next meeting. It might be the meeting after. So anyway, it's more a point of information, since a lot of people, all the people who are viewing us on TV right now are interested in things that happen with respect to the students and the kids in town. So wanted to just share that.
I've got nothing.
I just want to thank the teachers and the parents who came out tonight, to participate in our public comment. It really means a lot. I agree with what you all said, and, I want you to know that hopefully I share the same concerns, and I want you all to know that, I hear you. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see, but I do really want you to know that I encourage you to come to all our meetings with any issues or concerns you have in the future. So thank you.
Okay. Doug, do you have anything?
Same. I echo Amy's comments. We appreciate the feedback. We appreciate the support. We We appreciate, and it's not missed on us for a second, the learning environments that our teachers are creating for our students, and it's greatly appreciated.
There's one thing on the future agenda items that I overlooked. I was sent something from Mr. Mayo this week that the town council is exploring allowing
Digital participation.
remote access to public meetings. There's a fairly a specific set of rules that require a judge, explain how that will work. For instance, you still, for the meeting to take place, even with remote people coming in, you still have to have a physical quorum present, or it doesn't, or it can't happen. But give it some thought. If that's something we would like to consider, I can put it on our agenda for the 25th, or even the following meeting after that. Doesn't, it's not an emergency or anything, but give some thought as to whether that's something we would like to have access to, and given how those rules work. I also want to inform the committee that this past week, Ms. Boudier has submitted her resignation. So we are going to be posting for somebody new to take that position. And Doug and I have been working out some thoughts on just going through the job description to be sure it reflects everything that we feel as though we're going to need going forward. But just I wanted everybody to be informed that that was going to be happening. Okay. Executive session.
Move that the school committee enter into executive session for the purposes of contract negotiations, discussions with regard to contract negotiations with WEA Unit A teachers, and to adjourn immediately after executive session, will not reconvene in open session. Roll call vote.
Mr. Markham?
Yes.
Ms. Boyer?
Yes.
Ms. Byer?
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Ms. Doing that on purpose.
Delayed, sorry.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Ms. Guida?
Yes.
Mr. Flynn?
Okay. And Mr. Flynn will need to actually
Go home and watch
recuse
the
himself. So that would be a no from Mr. Flynn. Okay, we are in executive session.